Hello and welcome to sunny Snetterton for the second weekend of racing in the 2019 GT Cup Championship. The great weather forecast complements a fantastic lineup of cars on the 300 circuit. As always, with pit stops and driver changes, team strategies are going to be crucial to success this weekend.
Yes, thank you, Michelle. Let's get this weekend number 2 underway in the GT Cup Championship. Front row lockout for GTC with Bonamy Grimes and Daniel Dezil. Second row, Richard Chamberlain, Lucky Christopher, John Seal and Tom Webb on row 3. Sam Rand and John Dillon on the 4th row. Graham Tilley and John Whitehouse on the 5th row. Chris Prosser, Kevin Riley, row 6. Chris Carr and Chris Murphy on the 7th row. David Holloway and Dale Shelton. Brent Millage, David Franklin. And on the final row is Mal Sanford and Fraser Smart, and that glorious Lotus Evora making its debut of this season. So here we go. It is the FF Corsa of Bonamy Grimes out to the local circuit that has control of this field. What a great sight. The number of Ferraris we're treated to here this weekend at Snetterton. The pit lane is braced ready for this, as is Bonamy Grimes, trying to make sure he keeps his sister car, Daniel Dezil, behind him. And off they go. The lights are out, and it is a cracking start by Bonamy Grimes. And a cracking start as well by the GTO car of Richard Chamberlain. That Porsche was on the second row because of the wet conditions we had in qualifying. Did not make it conducive to the powerful GTO cars. So they found themselves a little bit farther down through this field. But at the moment, Richard Chamberlain, now the sun's out, has got himself back up into that second place. Everybody safely round Wilson on this first corner, just sorting themselves out a little bit. New car there for the number 54, Brent Millage. Still Spy Motorsport, but he's got himself a Porsche Cayman GT4 instead of the Ginetta this time. And he's just getting used to it, is his official line. So, Bonamy Grimes, unbelievably stretching his legs in that GTC car. Richard Chamberlain's done a great job to get up into second, but he's not having it his own way with that FF Corsa 458 Challenge Ferrari ahead of him of Bonamy Grimes. There's the GTA battle. Graham Tilley in the Texerve Ginetta has it just ahead of 79, the Team Hard Ginetta of Chris Prosser, making his debut here in GT Cup this weekend and doing a rather good job putting pressure on the experienced Graham Tilley. Round the Brundle and Nelson they come, and into the bomb hole, and it's now up into 4th by the looks of it is number 55, the other GTO car. So second in GTO is John Seal at the moment, and he's just winding up that pressure. You can sense it, and he's now going to make a move. Is he coming in towards Murray's? Yes, he is. He's throwing it up the inside. Cracking handling on that GTO car, and size past Dan Dezil. Dan is coming back at him again in that number 19 Ferrari, but not quite able to do it, so tucks himself into the slipstream. And a great job by John Seal there, third on the road, still second in GTO because he can see that bright orange number 5 Richard Chamberlain, that Porsche that is leading GTO and is hurrying now. That gap that Bon Grimes had has disappeared, and Richard Chamberlain is harassing him. Talk about harassing, there's Lucky Christopher in number 27. That is for second in GTC with the third GTC car, desperately trying to make up a place because he's under pressure from the 4th place GTC car even. The number 13 Lamborghini Huracan Super Trofeo, Tom Webb at the wheel of that today, certainly at least. And he's desperately trying to move on up onto the podium of the GTC. But he's being harangued by the looks of it. I think that's the number 26 Spirit of Race car of John Dillon. Great to see them back out here this weekend. Oh, Richard Chamberlain surely not there at the end of the Bentley Straight, heading into Brundle and Nelson. It's worth putting the pressure on, and I think that Bon is a bit more wily than that these days, with a great coach in Johnny Molam, and really has proved his mettle in a variety of cars throughout the world these days, as Bonamy Grimes. But he's going to have to defend really hard from this big, hard chasing Porsche 935 of Richard Chamberlain, who arrives here this weekend as the championship leader outright, and he's going to want to try and stretch that further. Brent Millage, there he is, closing in on the Aston Martin just ahead of him, so that is a GTH battle taking shape. A little bit further down the order, purely because Brent is just getting used to that car. And here we go, Richard Chamberlain at the end of the centre straight, in towards Rich's. That's not a noise we want to hear, and there's contact between the two of them. Round pirouettes Richard Chamberlain. That does not look very healthy, does it? That does not look flat. Is that car too damaged to be able to take place? That's a very dangerous place that he's stopped there. Hopefully, he's going to be upset. He's watched the rest of the field go. It didn't seem to upset Bonamy Grimes. That car's managed to carry on. Hopefully there's no damage on that Ferrari as well. What are we going to see with Bonamy Grimes? Everybody else is still racing. Look at the damage on that wheel. Wow. Is that wacky racist from the FF course? The Ferrari red flag is out because that car is on the ground, is not going to be moved very easily. So the restart, just an 8-minute sprint race now, not just the 25 minutes, restarting as they finished at the point of that red flag. So it's still Bonamy Grimes, but now he's got a different GTO car alongside him, John Seal in that Lamborghini Huracan GT3. He's going to be putting pressure on him. Look at that array of Ferraris with that very bright yellow and black Lamborghini Super Trofeo of Tom Webb, number 13 in the mix. That is the GTC fight, all of that lot that you see there. And I think we saw the GTH leader, John Whitehouse, number 44, the red and white McLaren, just behind them as well. So off we go again for this 8-minute dash towards the flag. And it's Tom Webb still trying to, he's basically filling in a Ferrari sandwich, isn't he? Was it a Lamborghini sandwich made with Ferrari bread? I don't know, but he's certainly in the mix, and it looks like he's managed to muscle his way up past Lucky Christopher, the 27 car, forced wide at Wilson there, and wasn't able to hold him off. David Franklin there, 911, that Porsche's leading GTB, and really mixing it up with the GTH cars, so a great job he's doing there. As is Bonamy Grimes, again he's stamping his authority over these GTO cars, no matter what. There's just no respect for groups, is there, from these GTC group cars. They're just getting in the mix no matter what. A bit further down, there's last year's champion, Chris Murphy, number 72, keeping the Brent Millage car behind as our leader makes his way, Brundle, through to Nelson, and then back on the power towards the bomb hole, and the very fast right sweep of Coram here at Snetterton. The Snetterton 300 really is an absolutely beautiful circuit. Grip it and rip it for these GT cars. And we saw going through there the GTA leader and the GTH leader. And that GTA leader is number 79, Chris Prosser, and John Whitehouse in the 44 McLaren leading GTH. But to see the number 26, as I say, John's in the spirit of race, and he's still putting pressure on the rest of the GTC cars ahead of him. But no pressure has been applied to our leader. There is pressure now. Oh, and I thought that Tom Webb was going to have a little sneaky look up the inside as they got towards Riches, but he just tucks himself behind. He's pulled away from Lucky Christopheru at this stage, and he's now looking towards the outside of Dan Dezil. The 19 car just hugs the inside line and makes sure that Tom's going to have to work really hard if he wants to consider moving on up. And there's David Franklin moving up past. It's not a group fight, that they don't care. They're fighting everywhere through this field. David Franklin desperately trying to put one on the GT4 Cayman car of Brent Millage, and he's done it before he even got towards Wilson. Great move around the outside of Riches there. There is the 21 car. That looks a bit battered and bruised, doesn't it? That's Sam Randon at the wheel of the GTH car there. But there's the GTA leader of his teammate, of Chris Prosser. Still this GTC fight raging between these two. And I think that's, second and third, 19 and 13. Really trying to get themselves further up the podium at the moment. John Seals disappeared into the distance. He's not bothered about what's going on in his mirror, but you can see that Dan Dezil determined to keep Tom Webb behind him at Lamborghini Huracan Super Trofeo. Tom's first race weekend in it. Doing right for someone who's supposedly still getting used to it. And look at the power of it as he gets onto the centre straight. He's going to be forced towards the outside. Is he going to get that move done before he even gets towards the right-hand sweep of Riches? Yes, he is. Sweeps round the outside. Cracking move there. That was all about the exit of Murray's, which means he must have got the power through Coram really well. There's David Holloway, number 15, putting pressure on 72 Chris Murphy. Flashing his lights there. By the looks of it, maybe that was an optical illusion. That's our GTH leader, number 44. Ahead of him was the GTA leader of Chris Prosser, but John Whitehouse has also got his mirrors full of second place at the moment in GTA, Graham Tilley. Here we go for the final time onto the start-finish straight. It is the number 22 car of Bonamy Grimes coming through. He's just controlled this despite the multiple starts. He has come through and taken a fantastic victory there. The GTC honours and outright race honours. There's John Seal who wins GTO just ahead. In the end, it looks like it was the 19 car of Dan Dezil got himself back up again. Oh, and Chris Prosser getting involved with the Mosler there. Kevin Riley, that Mosler still just going through teething problems this year. And I think the power kicks in and Chris Prosser doesn't need to get too involved. He's done a fabulous job there winning GTA, and the GTH winner goes across the line there as well. That is the red and white McLaren of John Whitehouse, number 44, flashing his lights definitely this time. He's a little bit happy, it's fair to say. He's done a cracking job there in a very busy GT8. And there goes David Franklin taking the checkered flag. That gives him GTB honours, his first victory in one of the groups here in GT Cup. I think he's going to be quite pleased with that one, to say the least. Look forward to seeing that down on the podium. So, outright race victory and GTC honours goes the way of Bonamy Grimes. John Seal takes GTO, just one place behind him. GTA goes to the debutant Chris Prosser in the Team Hard Racing Ginetta. John Whitehouse takes GTH in 9th place overall in his McLaren. In 14th place is David Franklin, which gives him the GTB honours in his Valor Racing Porsche. I look forward to seeing the smile on his face when he secures that one and steps up onto the podium. Talking of which, let's head down there right now.
I just had to get my head down and kind of keep a focus and try and get consistent lap times. I had 2 Lamborghinis chasing me down at one point. I thought, oh God, here we go.
This is my first class win with GT Cup, so I'm absolutely chuffed to bits.
Racing in the GTB group is David Franklin, number 911. No prizes for guessing which car his is.
I was the kid who had a Porsche Turbo on his wall. My dream was to do the Carrera Cup, which financially wasn't possible, and then all of a sudden this last year this car became available. I did sell my road Porsche for it, so I'm actually living the boyhood dream. They relaxed the rules last year to allow 3 numbers, so I grabbed 911 and I'm still surprised I've still got it.
So we move on to the pit stop race now, and on the front row we have Tom Webb and Bon Grimes. Second row, John Seal and Graham DeZille. John Dillon and Lucky Christopher on the third row. Fourth row, Kevin Riley and Chris Prosser. Fifth row, Steve Ruston, Graham Tilley. Row 6, Chris Carr and David Holloway. Row 7, Chris Murphy and David Franklin. 8th row is Brent Millage and Mal Samford, Sam Randon and Fraser Smart on the 9th row, and unfortunately the 10th row is empty. No Richard Chamberlain or Dale Shelton, which is sad to see. So here we go, it is the 50-minute race with the pit stop sort of in the middle really, where some of them change over, some of them don't. Our pole sitter Tom Webb is going to be doing the full 50 minutes here is the intention, and he's leading us up, and out go the lights, and he's going to make his way down towards Riches to take the lead. Is he going to hold it all the way through to the corner? You can see John Seal lurking with intent in that green Lamborghini GT3. John Seal slots into 3rd place by the looks of it. And Bonamy Grimes was still in second as they made their way up towards Wilson. Yes, it is still Tom Webb, Bonamy Grimes, John Seal, and those 3 have made, at this stage, a very mini breakaway, but not enough to really worry about at this stage. You see the 21 car working his way through. Sam Randon, after the DNF in the sprint race, starting low down, and that's not a noise we want to hear. Goodness me, is it going to be another DNF for the 41 car? Fraser Smart brings that Evora into the pit. Sad to see, but it's their first outing, and hopefully we'll see them venture back out as the season goes on. That was the GTH leader there, Steve Ruston at the wheel of that McLaren for the start of this race. He'll be handing over to John Whitehouse, hot off of his win in the sprint race earlier today. So full of confidence is that number 44. You see it just there lurking in the background, just behind the number 79 car, Chris Prosser, also off of the GTA victory in the sprint race, is leading GTA in the pit stop race as well. And John Seal dives up the inside of Bonamy Grimes, but Bonamy Grimes is trying to force his way around the outside. No space there, and he's just pushed out onto the grass ever so slightly, gets himself back on the tarmac, tucks himself behind John Seal. Doesn't matter for the group battle, but Bonamy Grimes enjoyed the outright victory in the previous race. Beautiful colour, isn't it, on that FF Corsa Ferrari? There is the very happy David Franklin. I said he would be, didn't I? And that interview showed he enjoyed that GTB win, and he's enjoying being out there. There's the 21 up to 10th from 17th on the grid from Sam Randon, being chased hard by the 2nd place group GTA car of Graham Tilley. So he's keeping that GTA car of Tilley away from his teammate who's leading it at the moment. Look at this great victory. The two Lamborghinis at the front there are different groups, because the yellow and black of Tom Webb is a Lamborghini Super Trofeo car compared to the GT3 of John Seal. And apparently the difference is that there is incredible power in that Super Trofeo car. Oh, and Fraser Smart just getting out of the way. Treating this as a bit of a test session by the looks of it. But apparently the green Kermit liveried car of John Seal and Jamie Stanley, of course, in this race, that is absolutely blinding through the corners as you see it through. Coram, here it goes, and he's diving up the inside in towards Murray's. There we go, just as we talk about it, he proves it, but now back onto the power goes Tom Webb, and he screams back through onto the straight, and that has compromised both of them, so that Bonamy Grimes is now challenging all of them as they head up over the straight again. Tom Webb has that lead back again, thanks to the straight, but John Seal has shown that he's able to do it through the twiddly bits, and carried immense speed all the way through Coram into the tight Murrays. Ooh, kicking the dust up from Bonamy Grimes there. And there is number 79, Chris Prosser, leading GTA, just ahead of the GTH leader of the McLaren of Steve Ruston. Graham Tilley sat there second in GTA at the moment. And the struggling Kevin Riley there in that number 7 car, but he's doing great in this race. He's second in GTO at the moment, and he's going to hope that it can last the full race. And by my reckoning, he's doing the whole race potentially, but we'll see how that one works out. There is David Franklin still leading GTB, keeping David Holloway behind him. Oh, and the teammates, the Team Hard cars, the GTA 79 and the GTH 21 Ginettas, they are battling. And I think that the reality is, because you've got the McLaren of Steve Ruston just ahead that's leading GTH, and the 21 car is second in GTH, he wants to get past his teammate so he can start challenging for that lead in that class. But actually they're going the other way, is that Chris Prosser's now trying to get past, and he's taken his teammate with him. That was a real mugging by Team Hard there as they went through Murray's. What a cracking bit of teamwork that was. Steve Ruston now trying to get back on the power. Ooh, and he's just had to throw the anchors out the back as Chris Prosser sort of filled that left-hand side. 21 Sam Randon's got the inside line, and all of a sudden you can see that Graham Tilley's trying to get involved in this fight as well, and he tucks himself up behind the GTH second place car now, having been mugged and passed by the 21 Sam Randon. Joshua Jackson taking that over later. But I don't think that story has quite finished yet. We've got success penalties in the pit stops. And again, John Seal is going to have a look up the inside into Murray's. No, he's not. He's going to think better of it. Does it enable him to put the power on? Not necessarily. In fact, Bonamy Grimes is coming at him. He's done the old switcheroo towards the left-hand side, but that's going to put him on the outside of Riches as they come herring towards us. Tom Webb, lights ablaze, making sure that any back markers will move out of the way. And Bonamy Grimes has done that before we even get towards Riches. That was a great difference in power there. John Seal was just not able to do anything about it. The drivers getting ready. There's Dino Zamparelli. He'll be taking over the number 88 car from Chris Carr. Oh, and there we go. This is the GTH battle. 21 has just about got it at the moment. So Sam Randon, that's brought it all the way from the 9th row of this field, has done a great job. 17th on the grid all the way through. Ah, no, and that is the number 26 Spirit of Race, and that is damage on the front. That does not look like that car's going to go any further. John Dillon is not going to hand that over to Rui Aguas. Talking of handing over, some of the others are doing exactly that as we speak. We've got a mixture of cars that have am and am. That is Dad and Son that's switching over there for the Dezils, and it's Dan Dezil getting back in after his great performance in the sprint. Jamie Stanley's going to be taking over that number 55 car from John Seal. Look out, he's going to hunt you down. There is the 21 car that was leading Group GTH prior to these pits. Lucky Christoforu, that car's being handed over to Adam Carroll, another one that's going to have a mighty quick pro taking over. And it looks like Jamie Stanley's out just ahead of the number 7 Mosler of Kevin Riley. But we'll need to wait and see. Oh, and we've got a replay, and that is the GTH car of Steve Ruston just running wide at the bomb hole, that looked like to me. But thankfully just lost a place or two, but was able to get back onto the tarmac. There's Adam Carroll chasing down Tom Webb. You can see it there that he was already on the prowl, was the pro. And that means that John Whitehouse has taken over that 44. The 79 car has now been taken over by the Callum Jenkins, also making his debut here this weekend. It'll be good to see here how he's going to do. There's GTA and GTH cars. Graham Tilley is leading GTA at the moment, I think. But we need to allow all of these pit stops to wash out. There comes Johnny Molam trying to make a move on the 55, or was it the other way round? Either way, we've got two amazing pros fighting here. Jamie Stanley just ahead of Johnny Molam, but Johnny Molam's looking towards the left-hand side as they go along the start-finish straight. The centre straight means it's all about the power, but still it's going to be the inside line for Jamie Stanley. Wallop, there he goes, straight in towards the right hand of Riches. He either retains it or regains it, whichever one it is at this stage. But that's two pros that are prepared to slug it out for the entire race. Graham Tilley doing a great job there in GTA. Is he going to be able to get his first group victory? And it would be great to do it in the sprint where he's doing it on his own. Still, look at that. Jamie Stanley scything through. He's up past Dan DeZille, who's taken over that 19 car, and making up the places like a hot knife through butter at the moment. There's the tech serve, Graham Tilley. And on to the last lap already. So here we go. It is the number 55 car that's going to bring it home towards us. A fantastic performance yet again from Jamie Stanley, taking over from John Seal. Seal put it where he needed it to be, through to take the checkered flag. A 26 lapper it turned out for these guys, and a great victory overall and in GTO. And here comes the number... a great battle going on, isn't it? The 13 car and 27. This is actually for second and third in GTC, because we're already going to have Johnny Molan bring back the 22 car. But this is for second and third. And Tom Webb's got it at the moment in towards the final corner on the final lap. They go, and just a little bit of a wiggle on the apex there that just pushes Tom Webb a little bit wide. He's going to kick himself for that, because through goes the 27 car of Adam Carroll. Lucky Christopher will be happy on the pit wall as he comes through to take second in GTC, third in GTC. Does go Tom Webb, but he'll be kicking himself. So GTO goes to John Seal, Jamie Stanley, GTC, Bonamy Grimes and Johnny Molam. The GTA victory does indeed go to Graham Tilley in the tech serve, Janetta, and GTH again, Steve Ruston and John Whitehouse in number 44. Great day for the McLaren here, and another great day for David Franklin in that Valor Racing Porsche. We heard how happy he was. Well, he's managed to secure another GTB win, this time in this sprint race. Let's go down to the podium and see how they got on.
No, it doesn't have the straight line speed, and I got past them a couple of times into the last corner, but I couldn't hold them down the straight, but that's life.
Really, Steve did all the hard work. I just had to keep the gap once he'd done the first pit stop. So yeah, all credit to Steve, really.
This championship attracts some of the biggest teams in the country, and one of them is Team Hard. Now, not only have they got two Janettas running in 2019, but they're offering a fantastic opportunity to be a part of GT Cup in 2020.
So this is our first year in the GT Cup, and we've changed our scholarship program to suit the GT Cup. The prize is now a fully funded drive in this series, essentially with a full management program, all the social media, everything that goes with it, some media training. Realistically, in effect, about £100,000 prize. So it's a huge prize fund. We have previously done it for the Volkswagen Racing Cup, but we're no longer part of that championship. We decided to move on commercially. So the GT Cup is something that we are now part of. We've been very impressed by the championship so far. The quality of the car, the whole grid, the whole experience has been great. So for us, it's to give something back to the sport as well is something that we really enjoy doing.
What do we do if we want to win this prize? What do you do to become eligible?
So eligible is novices can race. You don't actually need a racing licence, because if you're good enough, we will help you with that experience. So it is open to people that do have a race licence as well, but limited experience only. So it's a level playing field. It's basically £499 to enter. It's a GKR Better Future Scholarship Programme, which they're big supporters of, and it's a bit of fitness, not crazy fitness, because we can work on that. Obviously, it's in-car driving in our Janettas. It will take place at the end of this season, sort of between October and January, depending on weather. And there's some media training in there as well. So it's the complete package, because the modern day racing driver needs to be the complete package both on and off track. So it's got to appeal to our sponsors, our partners, and really fit in, because it's a long-term opportunity. We don't want somebody that's going to come in, do a year's racing, then that's it. We need something to complete continue the journey. We've actually got 11 scholars currently racing for us. Although we've only run a scholarship 3 times, we had 3 winners, we have signed 8 other of our scholarship drivers. Josh Jackson's racing with us today. He's been on our scholarship program. Callum Jenkins, scholarship program. And Jamie Bond, who's in Clio's. We've got guys that we've taken all the way through the racing program that we've got, the whole ladder from karting all the way to touring cars, and it's a way of getting people into the sport who otherwise wouldn't be able to afford to do so. We do like the endurance side of it, and value for money. The way that it works now with Friday testing as well, and then the program with practice, quali, 25-minute race, 50-minute race, then all again the next day is an absolute bonus. So the amount of seat time that you get, we feel that it's massive value for money for us as a team, and the drivers, they can develop as a driver because they're actually getting that time behind the wheel to really progress and really work in that car with the maximum seat time possible.
After yesterday's dramatic non-finish, the distinctive orange Porsche of Richard Chamberlain is back and on pole position. However, next to him is class rival John Seal. Let battle commence in this 25-minute sprint.
Thank you, Michelle. And absolutely let battle commence between these GTO. They lock out the front row. Richard Chamberlain from John Seal. Row 2, James Webb and Bon Grimes. John Dillon and Lucky Christopher on the 3rd row. Graham Dizil and Graham Tilley on row 4. Callum Jenkins and Josh Jackson on the 6th row. Then it's Steve Ruston and Chris Murphy, David Holloway and Chris Carr, Dale Shelton and David Franklin, Brent Millage, Miles Sanford and Kevin Riley at the back after the problems that befell the Mosler yesterday. Will that work its way through? It's got the power. Now we just got to hope it's got the reliability. Okay, so here we go for the 25-minute sprint race on the Sunday, and it is that big orange Porsche that's back after the damage yesterday. And he's going to look to really make amends. But he's got that green Kermit next to him, the Lamborghini Huracan GT3 of John Seal. But it is the Porsche that's got the whole shot. As the lights went out, he just jumped ahead, as has the yellow and black Lamborghini Huracan Super Trofeo number 13. James Webb at the wheel this time, taking it over from his brother who piloted it yesterday. And he's already ahead of John Seal. Of course, that means he's leading GTC. Ran very wide at Wilson's hairpin there, but no problem. He managed to scrabble back to where he wanted the car to be, and he retains the 2nd overall and the GTC lead. Great to see Dale Shelton back there. They had almighty problems yesterday with a bearing collapse, and they've managed to get it couriered there and sorted out and back out today. And the same as the amount of work that went on to Richard Chamberlain's car, and they've enabled that car to come back out as well. Oh, that looked like a great fight there as the number 44 car of Steve Ruston trying to hold off one of the Team Hard cars. I think it's the GTA number 79 that was just holding it off at that point. Here we go. It is still... No one's really escaping at the moment, are they? Bon Grimes sat there in 4th, is still keeping John Seal honest as well. So it's GTO, GTC, GTO, GTC. There's David Franklin, again leading GTB. He's having a great time this weekend. Ooh, well, I thought that John Seal, the green 55 Lamborghini, was going to have a little look and move on up, because of course, whilst it doesn't matter the car ahead of him being a different group, he is seeing the GTO leader scamper off into the distance ahead of James Webb, and that's not what he wants to see. Lucky Christopher in number 27, he is really hounding the Ferrari ahead of him, that being the number 19 car, and this time the 19 car is piloted by Graham Dizil. Dan Dizil did well yesterday in the sprint race. There's Graham Tilley, he's currently leading Group A. And look at this gaggle, the Group GTH leader is Steve Ruston in the number 44 McLaren, but it's the sister Team Hard cars, GTA leading GTH out of those two, kind of having their own fight, allowing the GTA and GTH leaders to scamper away from them. David Holloway, number 15, you could see just behind them as they went along the start-finish straight and swept right at Riches with just a bit of a lift through that part. More than a lift when we get to the Wilson's hairpin, and it now looks as though the 44 car of Steve Ruston is got a decision to make, really, because that's a GTA car, the number 79, that for this particular race is actually being piloted by Callum Jenkins. Callum Jenkins doing a great job for his first weekend in GT Cup, and he has got made sure he's ahead of the GTH sister car from the Team Hard Garage, and he's now got to try and get himself ahead of the GTH leader of Steve Ruston, because you saw Graham Tilley was a long way away, already turning left at Hamilton's as they were exiting Agostini, or the number 7 Kevin Riley working his way through the field, I think is fair to say. You could see that already happening. Still though, the Team Hard cars having sort of their own battle as they go on to the Bentley Straight again, and trying to move themselves up through the order. They both sit second in their respective groups. And John Seal, is he going to have a look? He is indeed. He's having a look up the inside, and he makes the dive up past James Webb. Now James gets back on the power again. We've seen this all weekend, is that there's strengths and weaknesses at different parts for these two cars. The Super Trofeo has some incredible power and speed, but the handling through the twiddly bits of the GT3 number 55 car is absolutely mind-blowing. Put the two together, my word, we'd have a phenomenal car, wouldn't we? But here we go, James Webb back up to second on the road, and that means that although he briefly lost the second place for not even half the straight, was it in reality, he's still comfortably leading GTC, because Bon Grimes has kind of got a grandstand seat. There's Graham Tilley, the number 6 car, leading GTA. And could it be like buses? Yesterday he got his first win in the pit stop race. Could he make it 2 out of 2 in a row here today in the sprint race on the Sunday? Looking good so far. There's David Franklin leading GTB, and Dale Shelton. Look at the flames belching out of the back of that classic BMW GT car. They've worked very, very hard to get that back out, as I say. And this is a replay of the 79 Callum Jenkins on just as he went to turn right at Rich's, the first corner. He's gone pirouetting off into the grass. Good job to get it collected back up. Aim towards the tarmac again. Such a massive runoff there at Rich's here at Snetterton. You kind of get your passport out to rejoin the circuit half the time. Richard Chamberlain has now got himself embroiled in the middle of the battles going on amongst the back markers. These two are going to be there as well. And again, John Seal dives up the inside. Goodness me, the speed he's able to take into Murray's there. That's a tight left-hander after some phenomenal speed through Coram. He did it, and this time it doesn't look as though James Webb... am I speaking too soon? I didn't think James Webb was going to come back at him, but he certainly was trying. There is the GTH leader, and in fact he's not far ahead of the second place GTH car, is he? The 21 car sat there trying to hound him into a bit of a mistake. Here comes Richard Chamberlain for the final time into Murray's. He's got a back marker ahead of him. I don't suppose he's going to bother worrying about that. He's going to come through. The number 5 car, he is now able to get past Chris Murphy with the power on the straight, takes the checkered flag. What a return after the damage yesterday to take the victory overall and GTO. Here comes John Seal in second, and James Webb comes home just ahead of Bonamy Grimes in the end to seal GTC. The 44 car Steve Ruston takes GTH honours as he comes through to take the flag. What a weekend they've had so far. And GTA, there we go. Graham Tilley is going to make it 2 out of the last 2 races. A cracking weekend so far. So Richard Chamberlain takes GTO honours from John Seal. James Webb takes GTC from Bonamy Grimes. GTA goes the way of Graham Tilley, just ahead of Steve Ruston in the 44 McLaren 570 GT4, taking GTH honours. And again, GTB goes the way of David Franklin. He's having a fun weekend in that Valor Racing Porsche. So let's make our way back down towards the podium. Again, we're going to see some very happy drivers spraying the champagne.
The car was good. The tyres went off halfway through the race, but really the car was very good. And I just kept my fingers crossed to make sure nothing went wrong.
I was first of the slower cars, if you wish, behind the Ferraris, and the Ferrari dragged me along.
So a much better result for Richard Chamberlain than in yesterday's race 2. However, coming up in the next part, we have got the endurance race, 50 minutes, and this is where the pit stop time penalties come into play. So anything could happen. Endurance is the name of the game for the 4th and final race of this weekend. Richard Chamberlain is back on pole position, but no luxury of a driver change for him. Revving up next door, it's the Lamborghini of the Webb brothers.
Thank you, Michelle. Here we go for the final time, as Michelle says, this weekend. Let's do battle again, and Richard Chamberlain has that pole position, but alongside him is the GTC car of James Webb. John Seal and Bon Grimes on the second row, Lackey Christopher and John Dillon on row 3, Graham DeZille and Gareth Downing on the fourth row. Fifth row is Chris Prosser and Graham Tilley. Sixth row is John Whitehouse, Josh Jackson. Row 7, Dale Shelton and David Holloway. Chris Murphy and Chris Carr on the 8th row. 9th row is Brent Millage, David Franklin and Mal Samford on the 10th row. So here we go. It is again Richard Chamberlain that has control of this field for this 50-minute pit stop race. And he's not going to be changing. By the sounds of it, neither's James Webb. He's going to be doing it on his own, but we never know for definite whether they're going to switch over or not, these two brothers. And off we go for this 50 minutes, and Bon Grimes is trying to go with him, but he's got that green peril on the inside of him, Kermit, as he is painted on the back of that car, I promise you, on the Lamborghini Huracan GT3. John Seal has wrestled his way into third, and he's already looking for second up the inside of the Super Trofeo of James Webb. James Webb was kind of hung out to dry somewhat there as soon as he was off that apex. John Seal didn't need a second invite. There's the two Porsches going at it as well. David Franklin leading GTB. But he was fighting there with Brent Millage, who has really progressed brilliantly in that car during the course of this weekend. As we say, new to him. Look at that. Gareth Downing in that Mosley has got himself up into third place already. Absolutely cracking for him there as he's got his way through. From where did he start? 8th on the grid, and he's fought his way up into, third on the road. So it's GTO. It is at the moment Richard Chamberlain that has the honours in the number 5 Porsche. But you could see that he was being harried, first of all, by John Seal. And there's Gareth Downing already looking towards the inside as they got to Brundle and Nelson. Surely not there. But is he going to apply the power as they head towards the bomb hole? Again, he's having a little look. GTC battle raging already. James Webb in the number 13 yellow and black Super Trofeo has it from Bon Grimes. Don't forget, Bon's going to be handing over to Johnny Molam. Rather famous name in GT racing. And look at this, Gareth Downing. Please, can we have this car to the end, because he's absolutely flying all over the back of John Seal's Lamborghini GT3. And he's just got to find a gap big enough for that monster Mosley. And already he's got the power down as he heads down the centre straight towards Richards. Is he going to do it? Is he going to sweep across his nose? Doesn't even need to do that. A cracking move there. He got the power down well on the exit of Murray's, and he got the move done before he even got to Richards. Kicking up the dust there, John Seal. So he just got a little bit unsettled by that. Ooh, and Graham Tilley was having a look up the inside of the GTH car of number 21. Josh Jackson starting that one. As we head down, great to see. The BMW of Dale Shelton just had a bit of a twitch as they got towards the hairpin there, but he managed to gather it up, and he's kept the 21 car behind him. Josh Jackson wasn't able to take advantage of it. Doesn't need to. The 71 car, of course, is in a completely different class. But, as we've seen time and time again, it doesn't matter. That GTA car is doing well to fight it out after the problems they had yesterday. All going to fight it out. Look at this GTC Noah's Ark 2x2, but it's actually the Lamborghini that's got the honours at the moment. Great job there by the 26 car of John Dillon, Spirit of Race Ferrari, holding on to that position. And I thought the Mosley was going to try and make up another place at the end of the Bentley straight there. Wow, that's sort of such a tightening part of the course there, but he certainly had a little sneaky snifter towards the inside as they went to the left-hand sweep even of Brundle and Nelson. Still he sat there. Is he going to look up the inside in towards Murray? Surely both of these cars are too big to go side by side there. And he just sits there. Now he's going to apply the power as he gets onto the start-finish straight. The same move as last time. He's certainly got the noise pedal down the full way. And as he crosses the line, it looks like he just about had the nod. And Richard Chamberlain still trying to come back at him. He's going to have the inside line. But no, the Moser just sweeps across his nose and puts pay to the challenge for now. Now it's keep everything crossed that car can see it to the end, as they're still ironing out the teething problems for 2019. Richard Chamberlain's not falling away at the moment, is he, as they go through Wilson, back on the power heading towards the left-hander of Palmer here at Snetterton. There's the GTH leader, number 44, that is John Whitehouse, handing over to Steve Ruston later. Just behind him is Chris Prosser, leading GTA, so they are the respective class leaders. And GTA's second place car, Graham Tilley, just runs wide on the exit of Rich's there, but again, no great problem. He's able to just drive it through the grass back onto the tarmac, but certainly lost a few places there. Lucky Cristoforo there, look at that. The number 27 Ferrari is still all over the back of James Webb's Lamborghini. This is for GTC honours as we stand at the moment, as they make their way through the bomb hole. And is it still the honours? We need to just check to see whether Bon Grimes is around and about, because it was a Lucky Christopher looking towards the inside. Remember, he's going to be handing that car over to Adam Carroll before long as well, but not quite able to make the move there. But it's mighty close. You see, it's probably just unsettled him along the straight, and the power of the Lamborghini kicks back in again. And the number 27 Ferrari doesn't quite have an answer as it stands at the moment. But he still there. Look, now we've got the GTH versus GTA. The GTA car of 79, Chris Prosser dives up the inside. Ooh, and he just lets the rear end hang out through Murray's there, which suddenly means the McLaren gets the power down. Steve Ruston dives back up the inside. Sorry, John Whitehouse started that car this time. So John Whitehouse dives up the inside and retakes that position onto the start-finish straight. Not for group honours, as we said before. Although you never know, is the 79 car could be doing favours for their sister car that is a GTH car. David Franklin, a bit of a Porsche triple header there, isn't it? But the 911 car is the GTB, whereas it's a GTH Porsche of Chris Carr just ahead of him. Be handing over to Dino Zamparelli next time. And then you've got the GTH number 15 of David Holloway. So that's actually for second in GTH. David Holloway has it. He'll be handing over to Piers Johnson for the second part of this race. So that is genuinely for between second and third in this fight. No real fight at the moment. Richard Chamberlain sat there quite comfortably at the moment. We saw him get passed by the Mosler, but sadly I think that car has fallen by the wayside, which is a shame after its fight back through. And still James Webb having to keep the 27 car behind. Lucky Christopher trying desperately to fight his way ahead of the Lamborghini, but not able to at the moment. Oh, and another wobble there from the 79 car, the Ginetta of Chris Prosser, just as he came into at the end of the Bentley Straight to Brundle and Nelson, but he got it tamed again and he lives to fight another day, and that just enabled the McLaren 44 to pull away. Now the pit stops have started, and it's the 55 car that dives in early and is going to be handing over to Jamie Stanley. There comes Bonamy Grimes in number 22. He's going to be throwing that over to Johnny Molam. Two great names taking over these cars. We also saw the Dezille's car coming in, number 19, and Graham started that. Dan Dezille will be taking over. And as we sort of wait for all of this to play out, it looks as though the 55 car was ahead of Richard Chamberlain, but I've got a feeling that Chamberlain is yet to stop. Now we get the change. Callum Jenkins going to be taking over that 79. David Franklin just sits there, I would say patiently, but I'm sure there's no such thing. Oh, and just as the 79 car wanted to come out, Miles Stanford, the Aston Martin, was exiting the pit, so he just had to wait. Now we've got in the 26, the first time we've really seen him in race trim, Rui Aguas out there. That's going to be interesting. Through goes Lucky Cristoforo. He manages to dive up past the number 13, and in comes our leader. The number 5 car of Richard Chamberlain does now pit, and he's just going to be sat there. Opens the door to get a bottle of water, well needed in these temperatures. There's the GTH leader, Steve Ruston, now at the wheel of that car, I believe, and pretty certain that they have pitted. Look at this great in-camera action that we see the fight for the lead, and Richard Chamberlain is out of the pits before this 55 car of Jamie Stanley even makes it onto the start-finish straight. So that really has played out with the success penalties difference. There was about 10 seconds extra for that 55 car in the pits, and you see they've got quite a lot to make up. Surely Jamie Stanley can't do that. It looked like an awful amount to make up. 79 leading Group GTA. Callum Jenkins behind the wheel, and he has made it up. Jamie Stanley is now all over the back of Richard Chamberlain's Porsche, and already as they exit Agostini in the infield section, he is looking to try and make the pass. This is for outright and GTO honours as we stand at the moment, and he's got himself towards the side. That's going to be the inside line, and sweeps his way through as they go onto the Bentley Straight again. Williams looked like a good spot for him to do that. It was just plenty of space for him to dive up the inside, and Richard Chamberlain's coming back at him now, but isn't quite close enough. He's probably more just trying to pressurise Jamie Stanley into a mistake. Is there such a thing? Is it possible to pressurise Jamie Stanley into a mistake? I'm not sure, but it's worth a go. And there we go, is the 22 car of Johnny Molam leading Group GTC. he has taken over that car and he's managed to scamper away from the rest of the field, although he's got Adam Carroll, 27 is the second place GTC. Rui Aguas there in number 26 is trying to come back at them as well. He's all over the back of the number 13. This is for third place in GTC by my reckoning, and James Webb desperately trying to keep that Ferrari. The good to see them back. What's this? This is a very wild, great slow-mo there from the number 27 car. So that's Adam Carroll. Not really a mistake, but just had to gather it up a little bit. So he'd have lost a bit of time, but kept it off the dirt there as the number 55 car comes through onto the start-finish straight again. And it does look as though he's going to come through. It is the checkered flag this time. Yes, it is. So 55, Jamie Stanley and John Seal, they take the GTO honours. 22, Bonamy Grimes and Johnny Molam take GTC. There goes the 79. Chris Prosser and Callum Jenkins, they take GTA. GTH goes the way of number 44. Is it? No, because going down to the last corner, it is the number 88 car. We saw him closing in. Dino Zamparelli. What a man to be hunting you down at the end, but he can't quite get the noise pedal down loud enough as they come onto the start-finish straight. That came down to the final corner on the final lap, as I was assuming that GTH had already gone the way of John Whitehouse and Steve Ruston. It did in the end, but not as easy. So John Seal, Jamie Stanley take GTO. GTC, Bonamy Grimes and Johnny Molam. GTH goes to Steve Ruston and John Whitehouse, closely challenged by Chris Carr and Dino Zamparelli. And another GTB victory. Great weekend for David Franklin in a Valor Racing Porsche. He's enjoyed himself, as we saw in his own interview, and it really was fantastic. What a race here at Snetterton. All 4 races done and dusted. What does that mean for the standings? Well, John Whitehouse and Steve Ruston lead the way in their GTH car with 195 points, with 176's Lucky Christofuru in the number 27 car leading GTC. Then it's Jamie Stanley and John Seal in third place, ahead of the Webbs in their Huracan Super Trofeo.
It's good. I did what I had to do and Jamie did the rest, so it works well.
Did a really cracking job to bring that car home, as difficult as it was to drive just then, so it was a really good race.
Another tremendous weekend of racing in the GT Cup Championship 2019. The drivers are off for a very well-deserved break. We will see you, same place, Snetterton, but in a couple of months. Take care.